welcome to episode 3 of the carp hunt. Today I'm down at my local club water on the Isle of Wight. It's just me today. Sean's not here, he's off working today, so you've just got the pleasure of me today. Yeah, like I say, I'm down at my local club water, just doing a day session. Got here at first light, well, just before first light this morning. Got here for about 6:15, and had a little walk around. There's 3 other anglers that were already on them. They've obviously done the night. Didn't really see much to go on. All I seen was one fish, so that was it, and that's in the swim that I've chosen. Normally I do like fishing down the other end of the lake. I normally do very well at the swim down there, but sadly someone's fishing in that. I wouldn't have gone straight there anyway. I would have still had a walk around, but if I wouldn't have really seen much to go on, that's where my starting point would have been, because I know spots in there and I've pre-baited. Basically I've sort of campaigned them spots down there this year, and I've done very well. I've had a very productive year on this lake this year. So yeah, but like I say, I've seen one fish show in this swim here. So all we've got in this swim is there's 2 islands. This lake's about 2 acres, 2.5 acres, and it's just basically an oval, and then it's got two islands dotted in it. Quite big islands as well. Yeah, so where I am, we're in the middle of the 2 islands, so you've got the nice channel running through there. And then normally in the middle of these islands as well, there's a big patch of lily pads there, but because of the time of year we're in now, they've died away, they've disappeared. Now, once it comes to this time of year and then pads disappear, I always like to fish a rod on them. I find that fish do tend to like to go and have a bit of a feed in them, so I will always put a rod in there. I'm fishing a Ronnie rig on that as well, just in case there is anything left down there, like on the bottom. A nice little pop up that's just slow sinking, just to sit nice on top of it, and it's prime ready for a bite. The left hand rod I've got tied up to the island. I'm using a bait boat on this session, because we do get a lot of overhanging trees around the islands. So to get in nice and tight, which is where you really need to be on here, because that's where they feel safe. So that's where you need to be to get that bite. So bait boat is very productive on here for you. So yeah, I'd be silly not to use it when I've got it at my disposal. So yeah, I'm bait boating that, the left hand one, into the island, just underneath a tree there. It's all clear underneath it, no snags, so it's fishing safely. So yeah, that's where the left hand one is. And then again, same with the right hand, it's to the right hand side of the island, just under a tree there. Again, no snags, fishing nice and safe, and it's where the fish like to feed. They feel comfortable there. I haven't been fishing on here now for a little while, because the last couple of features we've done was at Forest Ponds. I think it's been about 4 weeks since I've fished here, so I haven't really seen much catch reports as well on this site for here. So I'm not sure whether the fishing's slowed up or not, obviously, because we had that cold snap last week. I don't know whether it's affected this lake too much, but where I said on the last feature where the temperatures had come up again the weekend, they've stayed up as well. I got in the car at 6:15 this morning, 6 o'clock this morning, and it was reading 13 degrees. So hopefully with the last few days we've had pretty much nearly a week now, we've had a lot of good temperatures. The fish might be on the feed still quite a bit. But I'll touch on my bait and my bait prep for this session and everything like that. We'll touch on that in a little bit, and the rigs I'm using. Obviously I'm using the Ronnie on that middle one, but yeah, I'll give you a little look at the other rigs later on in the session. This is more of a water where you've just got to get them rods in position, set a trap and leave it there for the whole day. You don't want to be reeling in and out. You'll push the fish away from you, and you won't see them again for a few days. You have to be really quiet in this lake here. Even getting your bivvy up can spook the fish out of your swim, and that's it. They'll bugger off, and you won't see them for a day or two till they move back in. Yeah, but like I say, we'll touch on all the rigs and that in a little bit, and I'll give you a look at my bait as well, and what I do this time of year to my bait to try and to make it more effective, to try and put more fish on the bank for this time of year, which is effectively what we're all trying to do, isn't it? We're all out here trying to catch fish at the end of the day. So yeah, until something carpy happens, guys, I'll speak to you soon. Right guys, I just wanted to have a quick chat to you all about watercraft. It's probably one of the toughest subjects in carp fishing is watercraft. Well, yeah, where to start? Best thing you want to be doing get into a lake first light, just trying to locate them carp. They don't give themselves up easily. We all know the regular signs to look out for, obviously, a bit of fizzing, fish topping, rolling, things like that, and that's what we normally go on. The best advice I can give really as well is to just be looking at the water constantly. I know we all try and say that we look at we're there and we're examining the water, sitting in a bit, but half of the time you look around the lake and you're not, people are lying down on their bed chairs in the back of the bivvy watching a film, things like that. And in my own carp fishing, that's one of the toughest things that I've found. Where my angling skills have developed over the years, that's been one of the harder things for myself to develop, is that watercraft. It is so hard to master, and I'm not saying I've mastered it, I'm far from mastered it, I'm still learning even today. I'm always looking for new things to go on, but the more and more you watch the water, the more you tend to learn about it. You'll learn how the bird life acts, you'll learn how the fish move around, you'll find their patrol routes and things like that. You'll see, well, what times of the day they're crashing at and they're mainly feeding at. You'll learn so much more just from looking at the water. And where I'm saying about bird life as well, I've learned quite a bit about it, especially through, I watched a video of Adam Pennings a little while back, and he touched on about bird life on your lake. And one thing he mentioned in there was so pigeons. So where you've got islands, and you know, we've all seen it, the pigeons swoop down, they come across loads of the lake, they swoop in, and then bosh into the nests, into the trees where they're going. And what I didn't realise before was that actually spooks fish. So if you watching them doing that, if there's fish about, they tend to spook them and they'll move, and that's a sign there to go and bosh straight away. There's a sign. Now I didn't really know that before until watching that video. And another thing is coots as well. Now people don't like coots diving on their spots and things like that. I've always thought of it as a positive, because if other fish were feeding on that spot, you'd take that as a positive, because any kind of feeding is going to bring them carp, it's going to get the carp interested. It's churning up that bit of smell or whatever, it's leaking out more attraction, and the carp are going to be inquiring to what's going on there. It's the same thing with coots. When they're diving down and picking up baits and things like that, the fish are still going to move in on it. The carp ain't bothered really so much about coots. And you'll notice yourself as well, you can sometimes see the coots spook away themselves from a big carp. Normally that's what it is, it's a big carp coming in to have a feed, or he's already there having a feed and they've spooked off from this, and they give out a bit of an alarm call as well, coots do, when they're spooked, to just to warn everything around them, like, oh, there's something there. So yeah, so definitely don't ignore coots. Like, you know, I've got them diving now on both spots, because it's quite close to the island, I've got them there. But every time I've had coots diving here, it hasn't bothered me. I've always picked up fish as well. It hasn't put the fish off the feed on that spot. People tend to, because they're there, they'll start making loads of noise trying to scare them away, or they'll get a pickup or something, and then they'll be reeling in and moving to a different spot and things like that, which you don't need to be doing. Just keep fishing in that spot, just keep it there. Just as if you're getting picked up by them as well, this is where you need to be tweaking your rigs and making sure that that rig is resetting every time. Just do it yourself in a bucket, pick it up, move it about a little bit and let it go, and watch it fall back down. If it's falling back down in a clump of the lead, change it up, do something different. You want to give yourself as much chance as you can, especially on lakes like this, where you need to be sitting on your hands for that bite. You don't want to be reeling in, out, in, out, in, out. You've got to sit on your hands there. So you don't want to be changing around too much. Another thing that I've learned as well is when you're fishing on big waters and you get the swans on there, and they have signets as well. If you see a swan and it's got signets around it and it's pecking down at the water like this, that's a sign of a big carp, that is. The swans are very protective of their signets, and that is, well, it might not be a bit, it could be a pod, but it's a sign of a big fish. That if it's little roach and little small carp or whatever, that's not going to bother them. When it's a big fish, they feel threatened, like they do when we walk past them on the banks. They feel threatened, and they'll start trying to defend their signets. So that's another good little tip for you there as well. But yeah, so yeah, bird life is a big part of watercraft, and the more you can learn about them as well and how they react to the water, the more it will help as well to locating fish. When you're on big water, like we was at Forest Ponds, it's just a big open water and it has a lot of bird life, and there is a lot of ducks. I mean, you'll have 200 ducks in a and they'll move around the lake, and they follow the fish there, follow the birds around the lake, and what they're doing, they're eating their droppings as they're coming into the water. They're eating it underneath, and they do follow these big shoals of bird. They'll be following them underneath. So, you know, all these things you've got to try and take into account and put into your own fishing. like still now today, I'm learning every day, every session out on the bank, even if it's a blank. I like to think I'm taking something away from that session. And just as long as we are taking something away from that session, you know, it is a success. Even if it was a blank, it's still a success. So yeah, so hopefully you find that a little bit helpful, guys, and it helps you. Another thing I will touch on as well, actually, is fizzing. You've got to learn to know the difference between little gas pockets. So I see so many people go, "Oh look, there's fish fizzing there, there's fish fizzing there." It's not. When it's a uniform bubbles coming up and they're quite big. It's gas pockets normally. Fizzing, you can tell it's a patch. You know, you're gonna know. You're not gonna get single bubbles coming up on the same bit for an hour or two, kind of thing, really. You know, you got to try and define the difference between gas pockets and fizzing as well. So that's another little tip there, just for you to try and put into your own. But like I say, you've got to spend time looking at the water, not sitting back in your bivvy on your phone and watching films or anything like that. Spend as much time as you can looking at that water, observing the water, and in time you'll learn more about watercraft, and it will help you put more fish on the bank as well. So yeah, hopefully you find that a little bit interesting, guys, and it helps you out in your angling. Right guys, so yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of my bait for this session and how I go about prepping it all. So the bait I'm using this year, I've changed over to the sticky baits range for this year, and I'll tell you what, I've done really well on it. I have caught a hell of a lot of fish this year. I do think it has improved my catch rate and put more fish on the bank for me. I've mainly used krill so far. I've used manila as well, but mainly I've been on the krill. But for this session I'm on manila because that water's cooled down a little bit. I wanted to go with something a little bit more like sweet kind of for this session. Yeah, but what I do, say 2-3 days before the session when I'm at home, I'll get it all into a bucket ready. What I'll do is I'll get, probably if I'm using if I'm prepping up a 5 kilo bag, I'll do half of that bag in chops and then the other half just holes, all into a bucket, and then I fill it up then with mineral water. I just brim it just to the top of the boilies. Don't really like using, I'd rather use lake water, but because I'm prepping it up at home, I haven't got lake water there at my disposal. And I don't really like using tap water, just because of the acidics and everything that's in tap water. I find that mineral water is just, it's just a personal thing, I prefer to use it. Yeah, so I'll brim it up to the top of the boilies, and then I'll use the cloudy liquids that are in the sticky baits range, a litre of them. I'll put a whole carton of that in there, give it all a good mix up, and then what I leave, obviously that's set them for 2 to 3 days until it comes to my session. And the reason for that is as well, is not only just this time of year, all throughout the year, fish prefer a highly digestible bait. And what I'll do is I'll give you a quick look now. Let's just bring the camera down and I'll show you. As you can see there, look, she's got loads of attraction there, absolutely loads of it. And then if I just get a whole boilie, that, just without any pressure at all, just mushes down. Just so easy. And like I say, I fill it up with bits and chops, whole ones, and everything in there is just highly digestible for the fish. Now this time of year now, they don't want to be working hard to digest food and eat their bait. That is just perfect for them. I find that even, like I say, even in the height of summer, that they'll prefer that than just out the bag boilies, and I think that has given my fishing an edge this year. I really do. The effort I've put into my bait prep this year. Another way I do prep my bait as well, if it's just on the bank or the day before, if I'm not soaking it, is I'll put just a load of boilies in a bucket. I'll glaze it with like a glug, the manila glug, krill glug, or like a calanus liquid, something like that. Just a slight glazing on them, shake it up, and then I'll get the matching powders for it then, give it a dusting with that, and it does give you a real nice bait and like a nice bit of added attraction to your bait. So yeah, I'd always be looking to do something extra to my bait to give me that edge over the other angler that's just fishing boilies straight out of a bag and just catapulting a few out there. You know, bait is probably one of the most important parts of catching fish. You know, you want to you've got to get them confidently feeding on a spot to get that bite. You know, don't get me wrong, you can pick them up on singles and just a little bags and things like that, but you know, you want to give them something that they're going to enjoy, and they want to keep coming back for more of it. So when they see it back in the lake and they're straight on it and eating it. But yeah, so that's the way I'm prepping my boilies for these sessions, and like I have been all year. And like I say, it's really helped my angling this year. I do believe it's put a hell of a lot more fish on the bank for me. This lake here that I'm fishing in previous years, I was having I had a lot of blanking sessions, and then I was having sessions where like, I'd probably have 2 fish in a session over a 48-hour or something, and I think that was good. You know, everyone else, that's all anyone else seemed to have was doing. But now this year I've had sessions where I've had 13 out in a day, I've had 10 out in a day, you know what I mean, and it's been prolific, awesome fishing, and I do believe it's down to me watercraft, you know, finding them fish and finding me spots better, and the bait. That bait is key to putting fish on the bank. My rigs as well, the way I've developed my rigs over these years now, from when I first started tying them to now, every little bit on that rig I'm thinking about, and I'm tweaking and I'm testing, and you know, it's as your angling mind develops, you put more and more effort into these, which does put more fish on the bank for you. So yeah, definitely take that away into your own fishing, guys, especially this time of year now. These fish want nice soft digestible food. They don't want to be working hard to eat that bait. So all I'm doing as well in the bait boat is just one scoop, literally just a scoop of that, and it's only about 20 baits, something like that, that's going in there, wholes and halves, but that's just enough there for a bite at a time. As the session goes on, I might only even just put half of a scoop in just to nick that bite, just depending on how the day goes. But yeah, guys, definitely put that into your own fishing. Hopefully you can take something away from that yourselves, and yeah, hopefully it helps put you more fish on the bank. So yeah, until something carpy happens, guys, I'll speak to you soon. Right guys, just thought I'd give you a quick look at the rig and why I'm choosing to use this type of rig this time of year now. So all I'm using really is a German rig. It's just a German rig. I absolutely love this rig. I've found that this is my go-to rig this year really. It's just so versatile, fishing it even bottom bait, wafter or pop-up. Simple to tie, and yeah, it's a nice effective rig. Just give you a quick look at it here. So there's the basics of it. It's just a size 6 curve shank, just tied on knotless knot style, you know, the little bait screw, and all I do is I strip back a bit of the coating here just to make it nice and supple so it can spin round and nail into that bottom lip. I will always have that little bit of putty there. Oh, there we go. So yeah, just that bit of putty on there, even if I'm fishing a bottom bait as well. I'm not really using it to negate the weight of a pop-up or a bottom or a wafter, whatever it is. It's more to help aid in the hooking potential. So as soon as that fish picks it up, it's already got a bit of weight there that wants that hook then to help it turn over, flip over, and nail that bottom lip. Obviously with the pop-up you're using it to negate the weight of the pop-up as well, but yeah, we'll always use it whether I'm fishing bottom bait, wafter or pop-up, just to help aid in that hooking potential. With this time of year now as well, there's a lot of leaves and things like that on the bottom, so we want something that's nice and slow sinking on there. Just even if it's a wafter, I'd rather go with either a wafter or a pop-up this time of year, just so it falls down nice and slowly and just sits on top. Even if the hook's flat on top of leaves and that out there, it's still coming down to rest nice and soft on top of it. What I'm using on here though on this lake is I am using a stiff hook link material. So as you can see, look, it just every time if that was to get picked up, it's just kicking straight away back away from it. It's £25 Camotex stiff, that is. Like I say, just stripping back a little bit by the hook point now, just to aid in the hooking potential. But yeah, because there is a lot of coots and a lot of bird life in here, you will tend to get picked up quite a bit. So I know with that rig, every time it gets picked up, it's kicking back out again and it's resetting itself every single time. That's why I'll always go with something a bit stiffer on lakes where you are going to get hassled by the bird life. But yeah, like I say, definitely my go-to rig, German rig. It's perfect. You can fish it any which way you like. And yeah, I've found that I very rarely lose fish on this rig. And 99% of the time they are nailed in that bottom lip as well. Whether it is just because the rig in general is just tied well or what, I don't know, or I do believe that putty does aid in that, just helping that hook just flip round straight away, bosh, and there's that bottom lift. So yeah, that's a good little tip there for you guys with regarding the putty, and especially with the hook link material itself as well. If you are on a lake where you get a lot of bird life on there and you do get picked up a lot, it's always good to go with something a bit stiffer, just so you know then every time you're getting picked up it's just pushing, kicking back away again, and back away from that lead, and it's resetting itself every time. But yeah, so that's the rig I'm using this session, guys, and hopefully we'll see a fish in the bank soon. Right guys, we've come to the end of this day session now. Rods all packed away. Sadly no fish on the bank this time round, but it's the way it goes in this game sometimes. You know, it's called fishing, not catching. So yeah, it does seem like it's the lake's starting to get into a bit of winter form now. The fish don't seem to be as active and on the feed as they have been throughout this year, but we've also been pressured a lot this year as well with all the furlough schemes and everything like that going on. The lake's in a hell of a lot more anglers than what it usually does, so it's been a hell of a lot more bait going in there. So yeah, I think with that cold that we had last week now as well, I think they're just shutting up shop a little bit. So yeah, I think it's going to be time to start employing winter tactics into my fishing now. Again guys, as well, if you can, leave me a few comments about things that you like to do in your own fishing as well, little personal things that you like to do. So like with the watercraft, bait prep, rigs, anything like that. Drop us a few comments in there and let us know how you guys like give yourselves that little bit of an extra edge, if you want to share it, that is. I know we all like to play things a little bit close to our chest sometimes, but yeah, I'll have a read and I'll comment back on you guys. And yeah, so well, hopefully we'll be back down here now Saturday this weekend. I should be doing a 36-hour thing or something thereabouts, and hopefully with a bit more time in front of me I'll be able to put a fish or two on the bank as well. And remember guys as well to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up if you like the video. I've tried to be a little bit informative in this video rather than just doing the usual. Yeah, so give us a thumbs up guys, and turn on the notifications as well. And yeah, until next time, tight lines guys.